Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Go English. I'm Mizu, and today we're going to learn real, natural English that native speakers use every single day.
And I'm Lucas. Welcome to all our English learners from around the world. We're really happy you're here with us today because this lesson is one of those small English secrets that can instantly make you sound more natural.
Seriously, these two little words confuse so many learners. Native speakers say, I'll arrive around 7. She lives around here. There were about 20 people, but then textbooks sometimes teach about and around almost the same way.
And then English learners start thinking, okay, wait, which one should I actually use?
And honestly, even advanced English learners mix these up all the time because this is not only grammar, it's feeling, it's rhythm, it's how native speakers naturally describe time, numbers, and places.
Exactly. Sometimes both words are technically correct, but one sounds much more natural in real conversation, and native speakers can feel that difference immediately.
So, in today's lesson, we'll show you the real difference between about and around with simple explanations, natural examples, real conversations, and the hidden speaking patterns native speakers use every day.
And don't worry, we're going to make this super easy and practical. By the end of this lesson, you'll stop translating in your head and start using these words naturally and confidently.
So, grab your coffee, relax, and practice English with us.
And if you enjoy learning real everyday English with Go English, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new lesson.
Let's get started.
The city just keeps moving, doesn't it?
The city just keeps moving, doesn't it?
Okay, everyone. Let's make this really simple first before we talk about grammar rules or textbook explanations. Today's goal is not just to memorize English. We want you to actually feel the difference naturally, the way native speakers do.
Yeah, because honestly, Mizu, a lot of learners already know these words. They know about, they know around. But when it's time to speak, their brain suddenly freezes.
Exactly. You start thinking, wait, which one sounds more natural here? Why did the native speaker say around instead of about? And the confusing part is, sometimes both are technically correct.
Right, because both about and around can mean not exact, like an approximation. For example, about 10 minutes, around 10 minutes, about $50, around $50. About 20 people, around 20 people.
But even though the meaning is similar, the feeling is little different, and native speakers feel that difference automatically.
So let's start with about. About usually feels softer, calmer, and more general. It feels like I'm giving you an estimate. Not exact, just approximately.
Yeah, like if someone asks, how much was the dinner? You might say, oh, about $50.
Notice how soft that sounds. You're not trying to be super precise. You're just giving general information.
And honestly, Lucas, native speakers use about all the time when they don't care about exact numbers. Like, it takes about 15 minutes. There were about 100 people there. She's about my age.
Exactly. It feels relaxed. No pressure, no precision, just an estimate.
Okay, now let's move to around, because this is where learners start noticing a different feeling.
Around can also mean approximately, like around 8 p.m., around $20. But around often has an extra feeling connected to space, movement, or being nearby.
Yes, that's the important feeling. Around feels more physical sometimes, like something is moving in an area or existing in a space.
For example, we walked around the city. There are people around me. She traveled around the world.
You can almost feel movement in those sentences.
Exactly, Mizu. And that's why native speakers naturally use around more for place and time movement. For example, I'll come around 8 p.m. That sounds very natural because time feels flexible, almost moving.
Oh, that's true. And honestly, around 8 p.m. sounds more natural in conversation than about 8 p.m. sometimes.
Yep, not because about is wrong, but because around feels looser and more fluid.
So don't think which word is correct. Think what feeling does the speaker want?
That's the real secret to sounding natural in English, guys. Not memorizing rules first, but noticing the feeling behind the words.
Okay, Lucas, I have a question. Why do native speakers say around 7 so much more than about 7? Because honestly, both sound correct to me.
Yeah, they're both correct. That's why this confuses English learners so much. But if I'm talking naturally with friends, I'll probably say around 7 without even thinking about it.
Yeah, same here. Like, I'll see you around 6. I got home around midnight. Let's meet around noon.
Exactly. Native speakers really love around for clock time because time kind of feels like a moving point, like you're getting close to a moment.
Oh, okay. So around almost feels more physical.
Yeah, kinda. Not physical like location, but it feels closer to a point in time. More natural for schedules, appointments, meeting times.
That makes so much sense, actually, because when I hear come around 8, it feels supernatural and relaxed.
Exactly. But about is also common. For example, I'll be there about 8. That'll take about 20 minutes.
So what's the feeling difference, Lucas?
Okay, super simple version. About 7 feels softer, more general, more like this is only an estimate.
Like you're not really focused on the exact time.
Exactly. But around 7 feels more connected to an actual point in time, so native speakers naturally use it more for plans and schedules.
Oh, so if my friend texts me, what time should I come over? And I say, come around 8, that sounds natural because I'm suggesting a time.
Exactly. But if you say, I'll probably arrive about 8:15, now it sounds more like an estimate.
The difference is actually really small.
It is. And honestly, native speakers usually don't consciously think about this. We just hear the patterns so often that it feels natural.
That's why English can feel confusing sometimes, because grammar books teach rules, but real English is also about feeling.
Exactly, Mizu. And that's also why listening practice matters so much. The more real English you hear, the more these tiny patterns start feeling natural automatically.
Okay, everyone, let's do a quick natural conversation together.
What time should I come over?
Come around 8.
Okay, I might arrive about 8:15 if traffic is bad.
See the difference there? Around 8 feels like the planned time.
And about 8:15 feels like a rough estimate.
Tiny difference, but very native sounding. Okay, Lucas, I think around becomes way more common when we talk about places.
Oh, definitely. Like, honestly, native speakers use around constantly for location. We say things like around here, around town, around the office, my neighborhood, walking around the mall.
Yeah, nobody even thinks about it. It just sounds natural.
Exactly. Because around has this feeling of space and movement, like you can almost visualize someone moving through an area.
Oh, yes. So when somebody says, I was walking around downtown, it feels very visual.
Right. Or, I think she's around here somewhere. That sounds completely natural.
But if someone says, she's about here somewhere,
Yeah, that sounds strange. Not totally impossible, but definitely unnatural in everyday conversation.
because about doesn't really carry that feeling of physical space.
Exactly. Around feels physical, like movement, area, location, direction. About usually does not.
Okay, wait. This is actually becoming much easier now.
See? It's really about feeling the energy of the word. Native speakers don't memorize rule number 72. We just naturally feel, oh, this situation needs around.
Let's give a few supernatural examples.
Okay. I saw him around the office today.
There are lots of good cafes around here.
We spent the whole afternoon walking around the city.
That new restaurant around the corner is really good.
See? Everything feels physical, visual, like movement through space.
Okay, now, there's another huge meaning of about.
Yep. About is also used for topics, like concerning or related to.
Exactly. For example, a book about travel, talking about work, a movie about love, an article about language learning.
And this is really important. You cannot replace about with around here.
Right, so talking about work is correct, but talking around work?
Yeah, that sounds completely different.
Yeah, that actually changes the meaning.
Exactly. Talking around something can sometimes mean avoiding the main point, like somebody is speaking indirectly.
Oh, that's true. Like, why can't he just answer the question? He keeps talking around it.
Exactly. So if you say, we talked around work all night, people might feel confused.
Because native speakers expect we talked about work.
Exactly. So here's the simple memory trick. Around usually connects to space, movement, or location.
And about usually connects to topics, ideas, thoughts, and general information.
Perfect. And once you start noticing these patterns, native English starts sounding much more logical.
Okay, Lucas, I feel like we're finally getting to the real secret now. Not grammar rules, but the hidden patterns native speakers use automatically.
Exactly. Because honestly, most native speakers could not explain these rules perfectly, but we still naturally know what sounds right.
Yeah, like if someone says around the house, it instantly sounds natural.
Totally. Native speakers love using around with things connected to time, cities, movement, casual plans, and physical space.
Let's give some supernatural examples.
Okay. Around noon, around Brisbane, around the house, around the corner, around the area.
Notice how all of these feel kind of visual?
Exactly. Around feels alive. You can almost imagine somebody moving through space.
Yeah, even around Brisbane doesn't only sound like location, it feels like movement through the city.
Right, like we spent the weekend driving around Brisbane. That sounds supernatural.
Or, I was just walking around the neighborhood.
Exactly. Nobody stops and thinks about the grammar. It just feels correct.
And honestly, this is why English learners sometimes feel frustrated, because dictionaries often say, about equals approximately, around equals approximately.
Yeah, technically true, but real English is more emotional and visual than that.
Okay, now let's talk about, because native speakers also use about constantly, just in a different way.
Exactly. Native speakers love about with numbers, opinions, topics, thoughts, and guesses.
For example, about 100 people, about politics, about my future, about right, about average.
See how these feel less physical, more mental, more abstract?
Oh, wow, yes. You can't really visualize about politics.
Exactly, but you can visualize around the city. That's the hidden feeling difference.
So basically, around feels more physical, more visual, more connected to movement or space.
And about feels more mental, more conceptual, more connected to ideas and estimates.
That tiny difference changes everything.
Seriously, once learners start feeling this, their English suddenly sounds much more natural.
And also more relaxed, because now you're not trying to memorize random grammar rules, you're understanding the feeling behind the words.
Exactly, Mizu. That's how native speakers actually learn language too.
Okay, everyone, now let's talk about some super common mistakes English learners make with about and around. And honestly, these mistakes are very normal.
Yeah, because the problem usually isn't grammar. The problem is that learners try to translate directly from their first language instead of feeling how native speakers naturally use the words.
Exactly. And sometimes the sentence is technically understandable, but it just sounds a little strange to native ears.
So let's fix those today together, Mizu. Mistake number 1.
Okay. We talked around the project.
Ooh, yeah. Native speakers usually would not say that. The natural sentence is, we talked about the project.
Because talk about is a fixed natural pattern in English. When you discuss a topic, you talk about something.
Right. Because here, the conversation topic is the focus, not movement, not physical space. So about feels natural.
If you say, we talked around the project, it almost sounds like you were physically walking around the project.
Yeah, like walking around a giant building or something.
Exactly. So remember, talk about a topic.
Okay, mistake number 2.
She lives about here.
Now this one sounds strange, because about doesn't really give a feeling of physical location nearby. The natural sentence is, she lives around here.
Because around here gives the feeling of somewhere nearby, somewhere in this area, not an exact location.
Native speakers say this all the time. She works around here. There's a good cafe around here. I think he lives around here somewhere.
Notice the feeling again. It's spatial, it's physical. It's about location and area. That's why around sounds natural.
Exactly, Mizu. About here sounds unnatural because about usually doesn't describe physical surrounding space that way.
Okay, mistake number 3. And this one happens a lot when learners try to build sentences too directly. Around 50 people topic.
Yeah, native speakers would probably stop and think, wait, what?
Exactly. The natural sentence is a topic about 50 people.
Because here, about means concerning or related to or on the subject of, like a book about history, a movie about friendship, a discussion about work.
But around doesn't normally connect to topics that way. Again, around usually carries feelings of movement, area, or approximation.
So this is the big lesson, everyone. Native speakers don't only choose words based on dictionary definitions. They choose words based on feeling.
Yes, that's the part many learners miss. They memorize about means approximately. Around means approximately. But they don't notice the emotional and physical feeling behind the words.
And honestly, that's why memorizing grammar alone is not enough. You need to hear natural English patterns again and again and again.
That's also why listening matters so much. The more real English you hear, the more your brain starts feeling what sounds natural automatically.
And one day, you stop translating in your head. You just feel the sentence.
Okay, everyone. Now let's hear how native speakers actually use about and around in a real conversation. Not textbook English, not perfect grammar mode, just two people talking naturally.
Yeah, and pay attention to how fast native speakers switch between these words without even thinking about it. Because in real life, it's more about feeling than grammar rules.
All right, let's jump in. Hey, what time are we meeting Maya tomorrow?
Probably around 10, maybe a little after.
Around 10? Okay, that works. Honestly, I'll probably still be half asleep around that time.
You're always half asleep before coffee.
That is completely true. So where's the cafe again? Is it around your office?
Yeah, pretty close actually. It's around the corner from our building.
Oh, good. I was worried it was somewhere across the city.
No, I would never make you travel across the city before caffeine.
Thank you. That's real friendship.
Seriously though, the place is nice. I heard really good things about it.
Oh yeah? What are people saying about it?
Mostly about the coffee, apparently, but someone told me their sandwiches are amazing too.
Okay, wait. Now I'm interested.
See? The conversation immediately became about food.
As always.
Oh, and Maya said we'll probably talk about the new project for most of the meeting.
Ugh, are we finally discussing the presentation problem?
Yeah, and maybe the budget situation too?
I don't want to talk about budgets tomorrow morning.
Nobody wants to talk about budgets at 10 a.m.
True. Actually, how many people are coming to this meeting?
Around 8, I think? Maybe 10.
Oh, wow, that's more than I expected.
Yeah, apparently there's been a lot of discussion about the project lately.
Good discussion or stressful discussion?
Stressful.
Yeah, I figured.
But honestly, don't worry about it too much.
I'll try.
Besides, after the meeting, we can walk around the area for a bit. There's a bookstore nearby you'd probably love.
Wait, really?
Yeah, it's somewhere around the station. I don't remember the exact street.
Okay, no, this is the part of the day I'm excited about.
See? We started the conversation talking about work, and now it's about coffee and bookstores.
That's basically every adult conversation. Okay, that sounded much more like real English, right?
And notice how naturally about and around appeared during the conversation.
Around was used for approximate time, nearby places, movement, and general areas.
And about was used for topics, discussions, opinions, and things people were talking about.
That's the key. Don't memorize giant grammar rules. Listen to real conversations enough times, and your brain slowly starts feeling the difference naturally. Okay, everybody, now we're getting into the really useful part, because we're going to give you 20 super common sentences native speakers use all the time, with about and around.
And honestly, this part is important because repetition builds instinct. The more natural patterns you hear, the faster your English brain starts recognizing them automatically.
So don't just listen passively. Shadow with us, repeat with us, copy the rhythm. Ready?
Let's go. 1. I'll be there around 7.
Super common. Not exactly 7, maybe 6:55, maybe 7:10.
Native speakers love using around for flexible time. 2. What's this movie about?
You'll hear this constantly. About means the topic or subject.
3. There were about 100 people there.
A soft estimate, not exact. 4. I've been so busy lately.
Yeah, same. I've just been running around all day.
This is very natural conversational English. Running around means moving everywhere, doing many things, feeling busy.
5. Can I ask you something about work?
Again, about connects to the topic. About work, about school, about relationships.
6. She lives around here somewhere.
You hear this a lot when talking about location nearby. 7. Don't worry about it.
Super common native phrase, meaning it's okay, don't stress.
Honestly, memorize this one immediately. 8. We walked around the city all day.
Movement, space, exploring an area. That around feeling is very physical here.
9. I'm thinking about changing jobs.
Thinking about something, another extremely common pattern.
10. There's a coffee shop around the corner.
Meaning very close nearby. Native speakers say this all the time.
11. Sorry, I forgot all about it. Not just forgot it. Native speakers often say, I forgot all about it. Very natural.
12. Can you look around and see if it's there?
Can you look around means search nearby, check the area. 13. What are you talking about?
One of the most common English sentences ever. And notice, again, talk about something, not talk around.
14. He's around my age.
Meaning approximately the same age.
15. I heard something strange about him. Again, information, topic, news. That's the about feeling.
16. We sat around and talked for hours.
This gives a relaxed social feeling, sitting nearby together, hanging out.
17. I'm not sure about that.
Native speakers use this constantly when uncertain. 18. My phone is around here somewhere.
Everybody says this while panicking and searching their house.
Every single day. 19. Tell me more about your trip.
Again, topic,
Information, details.
20. People from around the world watch this channel. Oh, hopefully true.
Yeah, and notice this beautiful native pattern, around the world, not about the world, because it carries that feeling of movement across places and spaces.
Okay, everyone, this is the kind of repetition that helps your English sound natural, not memorizing isolated definitions, but hearing real patterns again and again.
And honestly, if you learn these 20 sentences deeply, you'll already sound much more natural using about and around in daily conversation.
So, here's a challenge for you. Which sentence do you think you'll actually use in real life this week?
Write it in the comments and try using it in a real conversation today.
So today's big lesson is this. Native English isn't only about grammar rules. It's about patterns, feelings, and hearing how real people actually speak.
Yeah, because native speakers usually don't stop and analyze every word choice. They just know what sounds natural from hearing it again and again.
And that's exactly how your English becomes natural too. Little by little, conversation by conversation, your brain starts recognizing these patterns automatically.
Yeah, so don't worry if about and around still feel a little confusing sometimes. That's completely normal. Honestly, even advanced learners mix them up occasionally.
Okay, now we want to hear from you. What other pair of English words feels confusing or difficult for you?
Yeah, maybe something like say and tell, borrow and lend, make and do, or any pair that always makes you stop and think.
Write your answer in the comments. Your question might become a future Go English lesson.
And if today's lesson helped you understand real English a little more clearly, please like, share, and subscribe to Go English. It really helps us continue creating lessons for learners all around the world.
Keep listening, keep practicing, and don't be afraid to make mistakes while speaking, because that's how real progress happens.
And one day, you'll stop translating in your head, and English will simply start feeling natural.
See you in the next episode.